All right, here we go. Fourth down. Newton's Law. Let's get right into it. We're talking about minority coaches. And that's something that's been a very sensitive topic here with the firing of Jerod Mayo. And I'll label it like this. We got to do better, and also we got to get better.
Okay.
Get better meaning get better situations to be in. Right. Do better, as we have a specific topic in regard. It may be old, but the Kent State head coach, like we just got to do better right there. So in recent news, we've seen that the New England Patriots have moved on from Jerod Mayo.
Correct.
And there's been reports, or Mr. Kraft has spoken about his topics, and they are what?
Yeah, so Robert Kraft spoke. He said, I put Mayo in an untenable position. He wasn't ready, all right? Mayo was the Patriots' 15th head coach and the franchise first black head coach. Now becomes the 13th head coach in 14 years to be fired after one season. All right? Those coaches were from Frank Wright to Lovie Smith, Nathaniel Hackett, David Culley, Urban Myers, Freddie Kitchens, Steve Wilkes, Chip Kelly, Jim Tulsa, Rob Chasinski, Mike Malarkey, and Hugh Jackson. All right, out of those 13 head coaches, 4 of them was minorities: Lovie Smith, David Culley, Steve Wilkes, and Hugh Jackson. The one and done list of getting in and getting out of there within one season. What's your thoughts on that?
I look at a situation where I'm a big avid of a person who believes in minority coaches having opportunities, the right opportunities. And when I see a guy like Jerod Mayo, who, I've been able to experience while I was in New England, he's not a bad coach, right? And sometimes you have to ask yourself this: is that coach a better position coach, better than a head coach? Or some head coaches are better head coaches and not good position coaches. We've seen it time and time again. But this is the thing that I would say we have to do better with, because when Robert Kraft makes a statement like that, we didn't put him in the best situation. Can you really get a true synopsis of a coach after 1 year? Yeah. And what are you going to do different? And if you're going to do something different, why not give Jerod Mayo that opportunity to fix it? You know what I'm saying? Like,
and to that point, Gronk has something to say in relations to exactly what you just said.
Already, Gronk, Jerod Mayo out after one season as the Patriots head coach.
I was shocked by that, and to happen that soon was a shocker to a lot of people, especially here at the desk. We were all surprised by that. I think it was unfair to Coach Jerod Mayo. I mean, he had never had the chance to develop as a head coach. He was just a rookie himself in that department. And if you judge a coach by their first year, that's really not appropriate. I mean, Jimmy Johnson, you went 1-15 your first year, and then you won a couple Super Bowls after that. I mean, he really...
Hey, we got to go to break.
Oh, no, I mean...
All right, we're going to keep talking about that. Much more in the OT later.
Oh, my God.
So Gronk, obviously being a player, he knows the deal. He wasn't with it. I mean, Cam, you was dead on just about the situation as a whole. So
it's like, man, he's right, though. Because not even from a coach standpoint, but also the player standpoint. And I'm reminded about Justin Fields. Like, you give Justin Fields the same weapons that you gave Caleb Williams, do you have a better season? You see what I'm saying? Like we have to start holding these organizations accountable to the misfortune that's already set for. Like, it's the writing on the wall. You know what I'm saying? And we have to also be patient, not just by players, but also coaches. And what I mean by that in large part, because we need more minority coaches, or we need coaches who've actually played the game. Guys like Dan Campbell, who is an obvious player's coach, right?
Yep.
And seeing that in order for you to be a head coach, you have to have, number one, opportunity to be coordinators as well. Do we have a statistic of how many minority coordinators we have in the NFL.
Yeah, so all of the coordinators, none of the coordinators are minorities. So they all are white males. So that is something. It's like right now, there's no minority coordinators in the NFL.
So
On the offensive side.
On the offensive side.
On the offensive side.
So if there's no minority coaches on the offensive side, you don't go from a position coach to a head coach. It typically goes as a coordinator to a head coach.
And Mayo did, but
more times than not. And even with Jerod Mayo, he was calling plays as if he was a defensive coordinator.
Because he was the linebackers coach.
He was linebackers coach that worked in conjunction with Belichick's son, right? So with that, I say all that to say we need more representation for coordinators, offensively and defensively coordinators in the NFL level. Because when you talk to coaches and they've stressed the importance of that, it's like, yo, we want to have opportunities to be head coaches, but we also want opportunities to be coordinators as well. We know ball. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not just by happenstance that the development of a Patrick Mahomes, when you got coordinators who have been minority coaches to develop him. We've seen it with Brian Leftwich. Like, all these guys know the game in a way, but they're not getting the opportunity. So on one front, you say that, and my question to Jerod Mayo as a whole, when I'm looking at him, is where did he lose at? Did he lose it in the locker room where the players stopped believing in him? Did he lose it in the coaching staff where the coaches stopped believing in him? Or did he lose it in the fan base where the fans stopped believing in him? All that can be a combination of you losing your job, and I don't think it's a fair shake, but it is what it is. When you get paid that type of money, you got to deliver the goods, and it just comes down to that. But I want to get to a point, too, where, you know, the topic is we have to get better opportunities, meaning situations, but we also have to do better. Take a look.
Just when you thought it couldn't get any worse. I go to one Kent State football game as a joke, and the next morning the head coach is getting sued for credit card debt, and I'm down a rabbit hole that is one of the most wild things I've seen in a while. This is Kenny Burns, Kent State's football coach. He was hired in 2022 from Minnesota's staff to the tune of a 5-year, $2.7 million contract. In year one, his team goes 1-11, and Burns is immediately given an extension, signing him through the 2028 season. Fast forward to this season, and his team is 0-11, the only remaining winless team in the entire FBS. And news breaks Wednesday that he's being sued by a local Ohio bank for $24,000 of unpaid credit card debt. He then gives a statement to CBS saying, look, my wife and I are aware it was debt related to paying off a recent remodel and move. Now you might be thinking, how does this happen to a guy that's making $500,000 a year? Well, if you've ever seen him coach football, you could say that the guy could be a bit unorganized, but here's where it gets messy. The Kent State message boards, yes, the MAC has message boards too, they got users spitting out all kinds of rumors that Burns is in gambling debt and that he's been asking coaches in the hallway for money. Well, obviously some whack shit gets said on message boards, and it's quite possible that they're all just making this stuff up because they want him fired, but the rabbit hole gets crazier. Someone on Twitter, possibly with an agenda, Kenny Burns is fake, is saying that earlier in his career, Burns left Wyoming because he had intimate relationships with a student that is his now wife and maybe got her pregnant. If you look back, Burns left Wyoming as the wide receivers coach a bit abruptly after just 1 year in 2014. And the Kenny Burns' fake Twitter account is saying that Burns' wife was also at Wyoming during that time, 2014, and was possibly working for the team as a physical therapist. And they do have a kid who's 9, so the math kind of maths, even though I'm not a math guy, nor do I know anything about females. I'm not saying any of this is true, but I keep getting it sent to me because I was just at Kent State. It's all on the internet. I just went down the rabbit hole and told you what I was reading.
Now, shout out to Tim's takes. The internet is going to always be undefeated. Yes. Because it's just looming with information that if you just dive a little deeper, you're going to find yourself in a rabbit hole of information. Now, The topic or the title of this is we have to get better situations, but also holding us minority coaches and players accountable to we have to do better.
Yeah.
So I'll say this, and I'm saying it unapologetically. Kenny Burns, what the fuck are you doing? Because when you think about it, that's extremely reckless. And you got to think about it under these type of circumstances. There's not a lot of minority coaches, collegiate, NFL, and respectfully in high school that gets opportunities. And you have to do right by your situation, right? I see a guy like Michael Vick, who is going into a situation that a lot of people are taking a risk on. Everybody's not on board with that type of signing for obvious reasons. I am. But Michael Vick fucks that opportunity up, he's going to fuck it up for the other minorities. When you see a guy like Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, a person who's did pretty good with his fortune as a coach. He's done right by organizations, programs, whether it's subjective of how he handled the Jackson State. I would say, shit, you tell me another coach who's done more with an HBCU program than Deion Sanders. And then I'll tell you a coach who is not even of existence. Now, granted, he has a lot of moving power with him being who he is, but he did right for the most part for that specific situation. Yeah. Coach Kenny Burns, that right there has set a lot of other coaches back, bro.
Yeah.
Because we give you the keys to the Ferrari, in essence, to the university. And that's what you do? Debt? Gambling? Like just integrity things. It's like, bro, don't get sloppy.
Yeah.
Like I'm not here to question who you're dating or who you sleeping with. I'm not here to do all that, bro. Because there's been Bobby Petrino and things of that in the recent, like, bro, you're getting sloppy. And we already are fighting this demon of opportunity from the aspect of we don't get a lot of opportunities. So we have to be on our P's and Q's with making sure that everybody doesn't have the flex like a Mike Tomlin, who has also did right by his opportunity to give other coaches opportunity because of they see, hey, this is what he did. So we have to go get us a guy who relates to the players and that are able to get the best from the players. But when you're making it about senseless activity, come on, that's bullshit. And somebody have to tell truth to power. And that's all. It's like, dog, when you have opportunities as minority coaches, it's hard for people to make an argument that we need more opportunities because the people who are making the decisions is going to say, hey, what about that Kenny Burns coach in Kent State? And that's not true. When I first came into the NFL, it was very toxic as a minority quarterback because I had guys like Jamarcus Russell. I had guys like Vince Young, who I thought were extremely talented players, but they didn't do good with the off the field kind of antics.
Yeah.
Right? So that was the major concern when I'm going into these combine interviews and they're saying, hey, how much does football mean to you? Is $20 million, $30 million going to change the player in you? Are you making it about, the ad dollars that you're going to get, the sponsorship dollars from the Under Armours, the Beats by Dre's, the Gatorades? Is that going to change who you are? When if you ask a Jake Fromm or a Andrew Luck or you ask these Caucasian athletes, those aren't the questions that they're being asked. So that's why we have to do better, minority coaches and minority players as a whole, because we're being faced with things that other people aren't being faced with. And you have to be cognizant to uphold your end of the bargain to allow somebody else to have an opportunity. And if you don't do right by your opportunity, you're going to fuck it up for somebody else. That's my point.
That boy Bud done made it clear.
In the new year.
In the new year.
You dig what I'm
Got
saying?
to do more.